So just inviting people to mute their phones for right now. And let's close our eyes and let's take some deep breaths at your own pace. And just letting the sound of my voice gently guide. And as you breathe at your own pace, bringing as much of your attention to yourself as you possibly can. Noticing your body. And noticing how your body might be informing you. To what degree are you tuning into your body? And to what degree is your mind still active, running the show? Noticing the difference between when we're in our thoughts and when we're in presence outside of our thoughts. There's no right or wrong. It's just noticing. And as you breathe, what is your body informing you of? How well resourced are you today? What emotions have you been aware of in the past, we'll say since you woke up? What emotions have you been aware of? And as we slow down, are there any emotions, feelings, or sensations that actually are there or have been there within you that you weren't necessarily aware of until now? Today we're going to work on really practicing deep embodied empathy. And it requires really slowing down and not being too connected to our thoughts. As we listen to others, as we listen to who we're giving empathy to, we're feeling with them. It's all about what they're feeling and what their needs or longings or values are that are alive for them in the moment. We're not thinking about how to fix it or how to make it better or to help them know how wonderful they are. We're giving the gift of presence. We're going beyond the castle walls of right and wrong into that beautiful field that Rumi wrote of, the field of presence. And the last little step of this meditation is I'd like for each of you to think of something that's really been hard for you this week, that you'll be willing to share with the group to receive empathy. Pick one thing. And what are the feelings, the emotions that you experience or experienced when you were going through that difficult thing, whatever it was? What were the feelings? Scared, confused, overwhelmed, hurt, angry, sad, frustrated, bewildered. Those are just some of the feelings that one might experience when they're in a challenging situation. And always when we're having uncomfortable feelings, it's because you have precious needs that are not being met. We can call them universal human needs, longings of the heart, values. The most common ones are safety and connection. Also significant common values are to be heard, to be understood, to be included. And they're the ones that when our basic needs are met, then we start looking towards creative expression, sexual intimacy, respect, play. So what were you feeling and what were you longing for? What were you feeling? What were you longing for? And know that even when what you're longing for is not being met, it's beautiful, it's precious. Longings of the heart are always beautiful, even when they're not met. So when you're clear on what it is you're going to share sometime today with the group, you can open your eyes and come back to the room. And for those of you with your eyes open, just looking at the beautiful beings that we get to spend our morning with. From all over the US, I love that. All the way from New England to Hawaii. I really wanted us to work on empathy today because, of course, as you all know, we're doing compassionate talk twice a day. And we're still really working out what that means, what it's going to be, what it's going to look like. But obviously, it includes giving empathy. And learning how to really give quality empathy is such a practice. Such a practice. And I want to thank everybody who's come onto the calls as love coaches this week. Thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody who's come onto the calls and been willing to receive empathy. Right? And it's been mostly love coaches giving empathy to other love coaches, just because we hadn't had the proper technology to bring people from the audience in. And our audiences have been pretty small. So I want to thank everybody, and I want to emphasize that nobody did anything wrong this week. But I really want us to drop deeper into embodied empathy with each other today. And I definitely humbly want to acknowledge in my story, as most of you know, but a big turning point in my life was I was Scott, the writer, director, producer, TV guy, video guy. And I got this great contract to do a series of videos with Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of Nonviolent Communication. And so I traveled with him. And I've got my camera and we're staying in hotels together and I'm watching him in action and I'm filming and filming and filming. And at one point, he and I were having a meal together. And I don't even remember what it was I said, but he took that finger of his, he looked at me and said, "You know what you are, Scott? You're a fix-it jackal. You want to fix everybody." And it was really humbling, obviously, because here's the master calling me out. But I still battle with that because we care about people. It's such a deep desire to fix it and make it better, right? I mean, how many times in our life have we been on either end of, "Oh, it's okay," right? When somebody's crying or when we're crying or when someone's upset or we're upset, how often is the response, "It's okay, it's okay"? Well, on one level, yeah, of course it's okay. And on another level, when we're saying it's okay, what we're really trying to do is change the reality of what's happening. And almost every spiritual tradition that's not a dogma, it's not a religion, but is truly kind of a more personal, evolutionary practice, leads us to presence, being fully present to what is. And that's what we want to do in embodied empathy. We want to practice full presence to what is. We're not trying to make it better. We're not trying to fix it. We're not trying to change anybody or anything. We're acknowledging what is without seeing it as right or wrong. And it's a practice. It's an awesome practice. So, thank you for doing the meditation with me, and thank you for listening. And of course, we're going to start practicing giving empathy to each other. I'd just like to open it up to anything that's alive for anyone based on what I've said. Debbie.
Oh, based on what you've said, I don't have anything to add.
Well,
I was gonna talk about something else, but we can wait. I can wait till you're ready for me to do that. I sent you a message.
Go ahead, Debbie.
You sure? Right now?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's what's alive. I'm practicing what we just talked about. This is what's alive for you.
Oh, it is what's alive for me. For those of you that are going to be coming on to be interviewed with me on Cup of Grata on SGW 101, I just want to give you guys a quick rundown. So if you've scheduled it, then I will be sending you a link. I had some questions like, how do I prepare for it? You show up and you're authentic and you're real and you're organic. Just like Mimi, Jessica, Laura, what we just did, exactly that flow, like that. Allie's been on with me a couple of times, and we trust the process, right, Allie? So I do want your bio, though. I do want your links because it's super important. This is really about what you're contributing to the world. And also, it is a direct feed into Love Coach Academy and our experiences with Scott, as well as our teachings and things like that. But it's also a time to really let the world know what you do. And it's one of my favorite things to do. And I've decided to go back and do that because it's really necessary that everybody gets to know who you guys are individually as well and what your uniqueness is. So I will send you the link directly. Is there any questions, though, just in case, because I want to answer them now?
Actually, if you're going to be with us for the day, can we do that at the end?
I'm actually not.
Oh, that's why this is happening now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually not. So I appreciate the flexibility as
Sure.
well. Yeah. Anybody have any questions at all?
Just Deb,
Yeah,
I
babe.
already scheduled my time with you, and I'll send you the bio and stuff. But just for the others, if we need to reach you, we can just reach you privately. Where's the best place?
Well, Facebook is good. Facebook Messenger, and if that doesn't work for you, I'll shout out my phone number right now if everybody's ready. 949 area code 690-3757. Okay.
My question's really general. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Good. I'm glad you don't, Timothy. I have a schedule for Calendly, and I've asked that everybody, if they want to come on one-on-one with me, to put emphasis on what their offerings are, that type of thing. So I'm bringing back Cup of Grata, which is a shot of expression and 2 squirts of reality. You're going to be a co-squirt.
It's a show on spirituality gone wild. And is it a particular time of day every day, Debbie?
I've been doing it I'm changed it because of what we're doing. So I'm going to try it at 5 p.m. and see how it works. I know, Laura, that you did a different time, and that's okay. We'll do the different time. Don't worry about it. I somehow Candly doesn't keep straight. If you didn't get the link, then it's in the message feed, and I'll send it to you privately. If you send me a message, I'll send you the link to schedule it. And I also have a form for interviewees that I can send to you guys so that I can get all your information and that. Make it easy for you. I forgot about the form I use. Okay.
What's your phone number again, Debbie?
Sure. It's 949
Mm-hmm.
690 3757.
Okay. So I've put that into the chat box.
That's great. I look forward to it, you guys, in a major way. I love doing one-on-ones with people and talking about your brilliance. And I love that we are all together at Love Coach Academy. So we're actually doing 2 things and 2 purposes. You know, I want people to know who you are, but I also want to let them know you can also join empathy groups like this, and we're all there. You know, you see how we're going to do this as community, but also individually.
Cool. Adrian, I saw, let's twinkle David. Adrian has something.
And happy birthday to Adrian.
All right, well, let's start then with happy birthday to Adrian. So we'll do that. And
thanks, everybody. Yeah, I just want to get back to answering your question, Scott, about anything coming up. I guess a couple things. Couple things were pointed out to me a couple days ago by my partner and by Paul, and that's the importance of connecting with the camera. You know, giving empathy in person is certainly, I think, kind of easier. Maybe it lends itself to a different qualities and, you know, connection, but looking at the camera is really helpful. It's something that I haven't been doing. I've been noticing that, but Paul just brought it to my attention. And another thing I just wanted to speak to is, you know, slowing down versus speeding up. I have a lot of work to do, I feel like, in slowing down, and I think it's appropriate for me often. I had a really powerful conversation with my partner the other day, like talking about systems that are inclined to be fast and systems that are inclined to be slow, and how that relates to connecting with somebody. And I think that although like often being slow is really like helpful and necessary, and a lot of systems really benefit and kind of require slowness, I was also like realizing that there's sometimes in some situations and some systems that can actually, depending on the kind of what's the content, and that connecting in maybe an elevated way or a excited way, if you're really coming from an organic place and you're really being with that person, can theoretically be a really appropriate way to connect. And I just kind of want to give a shout out for that kind of situation. Because one thing I want to be gentle with myself around the way I organize and be mindful about, yeah, just like being really mindful about how being being gentle with myself around my tendency to be elevated and not just like, oh, you need to like change, which I think in some ways I do. I really do. And because I think often when I speed up, I'm coming from a fragmented place and coming from not a really connected, embodied place. So I really want to be mindful of both. So I just wanted to kind of speak to those things.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, let's twinkle, Adrian, for being the first one to speak. Thank you, Adrian.
And one quick thing really quickly, I recognized Timothy the other day when I was connecting with you, I was giving empathy to kind of a positive aspect. And I got really excited and kind of intense in a positive way. And I know Paul actually does this as well. I think we have similarities. And we're on a different spectrum than Scott, who just so easily goes into that just slow place. But at some point, I'd be curious to see how that kind of empathy landed for you, Timothy, that kind of intense, elevated. And then I was also kind of talking the positive aspects. So thanks, Scott, for hearing me and everybody hearing me.
Yeah, and actually, I'd love to hear Timothy's answer to your question. I just want to say that absolutely, I do tend to focus on empathy for uncomfortable feelings because we live in a culture that avoids that. So I think there's a part of me that tries to balance it out. But absolutely, empathy can include excitement and joy and celebration. You know, empathy can be empathizing with comfortable feelings and positive, enjoyable outcomes, right? So I can totally see where when it's celebration, it's excitement, it's joy, it can have that elevated, maybe faster quality, as long as you're still in the quality of presence. Yeah. So Timothy, he asked you a good question. What's your response? Goodbye, Debbie. Thank you for everything you do.
I very much, I'm just going to kind of move through your whole thing and then I'll finish with the ask, if that's okay, Adrian. When you look not at the camera, but like right below the camera, I really feel you. And so I really appreciate very much when you do that. And for a while there, here today, you were doing that. And it's as if you're with me. Whereas when I have this tendency too, I just try to work against it. When I'm thinking, I look up and it'll often take me away from my clients, especially on camera. And so I've worked really hard to train myself to think right here.
Yeah, I want to lay that groove as well.
But I love that you were given that feedback. I thought about it the other day and I can see you already making huge shifts. I sense in my body when you're talking about the fast pace, which I also can get into, an adrenal rush and like a burn right up my midline through my heart. And part of me likes it. It's like this. And I think there are times that it's probably a good thing, but most of the time when we're connecting with people, slowing down, I think, is what's called for. Whereas
I agree.
Some of your other projects, when you're doing things with people, you guys are co-creating on something, and it's probably perfectly fine to be in fifth gear, right? And even shifting dramatically between gears. I appreciate that you can do that, and you did that beautifully with me, coming to your ask. You did that beautifully with me the other day. With the celebration, and I felt really met and seen, and really appreciated the energy that you brought to my life very much.
Cool. Well, thanks for all that and for clarifying the value of connecting with the screen and reflecting and appreciating the various benefits of speed and slowing down. And I agree. I really feel that slowing down is often what's most helpful. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's like when I notice that my fifth gear is in place and I'm in it, you know, really being able to shift all the way back down to like neutral internally. And then I can always go back up to fifth gear if I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Okay.
sense you get a lot done and are doing a lot most of the time. And so there's like a drive in you. And you're probably in your 30s or maybe 40s, right around there, which is a prime time for men to just be like, fuck, and create, right? And I'm in my 50s, Scott's older too, where we're like, whoa, I can't do that 40 years, it'll kill me, you know?
Yeah, well, we could riff on that for a long time, but thank you for that.
Let's Twinkle Timothy. All right, so we're going to go into empathy practice. And what I'd like to ask is, as each person is sharing what they want to receive empathy for, if you feel called to be one of the givers of empathy, send me a private message in the chat box. So I want to make sure everybody knows how to work the chat box. If you're all on computers or devices like that, not a phone, the chat box is at the bottom. I've opened it up, and you can, once the chat box is open, if you go down to the bottom of the chat box, you'll see a little blue bar that probably says everyone on it right now. And I'll send you an aloha message in honor of our many Hawaii people. If you click on that little blue bar, you then can choose whether to send to everyone or whether to send to Scott Thomas. And so you're going to click obviously on me and just say, yes, I'd love to give Adrienne empathy. Yes, I would love to give Timothy, just so that I know who, you know, that you're talking about the person that, so I can keep track basically. And so the way this is going to work is one person, let's say Deborah Haviland, is going to be asking for empathy. And then the people that are relating to what she's talking about or wanting to give her empathy, you're going to send me a private message. Okay. I'm going to really try and balance it out so that everybody gets a chance. There's no right or wrong. But again, if we go into fixing, I might just gently point it out. And I want to acknowledge, first of all, Adrienne and Anaprabha are two senior people who've been with us for a long time. But yesterday, I didn't even remember who I was talking to, but I want to acknowledge you, Daniel Moe. I actually found myself saying twice yesterday. I'm learning from you. I mean, I've been teaching empathy for 20 years and I'm learning from you. I really want to acknowledge your skill at dropping deep and really, really listening and asking questions that are curious and demonstrate how you've been feeling and listening. You really are masterful at it. So I'm going to just twinkle Daniel for a minute. Yeah. And I'm learning from you. I'm going, wow, he's good. He's really good. Of course, now he'll probably totally blow it today. You know how those things go, right? Anyway, so if somebody's receiving empathy,
No pressure.
I mean, is done, yeah, no pressure. If somebody's finished, you know, kind of sharing what it is they want to receive empathy for, I might call on Daniel or on Anaprabha or Adrienne as, you know, kind of our more senior people, you know, as starters, especially because people sometimes are shy. So as you are in the receiving role, remember, try not to go too much into story. right? We don't need to know which day of the week it was. We don't need to know what color pants you were wearing. And we don't need to know the long history. What we really need to know is what you were longing for and what you were feeling. And for you to slow down and go back in your memory to that time, so that you're not, again, in your head talking about it, but you're really in your body remembering it or feeling it. And that makes it easier for us to feel it with you. Okay. And actually what I'll do is I'll actually ask for empathy. So hopefully I'll model it well. I had a really hard night of nightmares. And a lot of people trying to kill me type stuff. Nobody in the dream was anybody that I recognized. And the nightmare I remember the most was my dogs. My dogs were in jeopardy. And I wasn't sure if they'd been killed or not by the bad guy. Actually, it's bad people. And I have 2 dogs. I have a puppy, and then I've got an older dog who's been breathing funny the last couple of days. And they were both on the bed with me. So when I woke up, it was like, oh, good. It's just a dream. The dog's right here. But the older dog has been wheezing, and I've been worried about him. I might have to take him to the vet this afternoon. And I just was so out of sorts from the nightmares. I couldn't even there's no way I could do the 9 o'clock compassionate talk. And so I texted Debbie and she took it over. And honestly, I almost canceled this. I was like, at 10 minutes till 10, I was like, am I going to cancel this or can I pull it together? So I'm in that kind of dense, heavy place. I'm uncomfortable. It just feels like a heavy fog over me. And I guess the last thing I'll say is that I'm aware that some of it is my own stuff, and some of it is that all week long I've been giving empathy to people and feeling the pain of the world, the shit going on the macro level. So I'm sure that probably for many of us, maybe all of us, there's what's going on in the big world and feeling it on the big world level and also feeling it on the little world level. So that's me. And okay, I see that Adrian. Yeah. Yes, Adrian.
Okay, I thought you were going to say, and I see this person and that person.
Yeah.
Oh, Scott, I have so much appreciation and respect for you seeing what you do, particularly in this time, and imagining what that must be like holding this space over and over again. And, I recognize that you have a lot more experience than I do, and it's easier for you than it would be for me. And like, holy cow, just like the mental and emotional bandwidth that you have to carry. Yeah. So thank you. I just want to acknowledge you. I have so much appreciation and respect and admiration and inspiration. Hearing your story just reminds me, and I imagine it reminds everyone just how powerful the mind is. You had a dream, but that was real. That actually happened for you. Like, those neural pathways were firing. The threat, losing your dogs, like all of that was really happening for you. And I think it's important not to make light of that. You know, like we're all firing our neural pathways all the time. And I think it's important not to make light of just how powerful the mind is. I mean, you lead such a powerful exercise with all of us many times, you know, when you're telling yourself the story. And just that little switch of like how you structure the story you're telling yourself. And you just went through a really significant traumatic experience. And I really encourage you to not make light of that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That's, thank you. I'm experiencing that as reassurance that it's understandable that I'm out of sorts, you know. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I could go on, but
I want to give a couple of other people a chance, but thank you. Thank you, Adrian. Yeah, thank you. Okay, Mimi, and then Deborah Haviland. And then Anna Prabha, and then we'll move on to the next person.
Thank you, Scott. And I have you right here on my screen. I'm
Yeah, you're kind of on my far left. So,
so I just want to drop in with, I'd imagine that, you know, the terror of those are your family members. Those are powerful family members. So the people being those entities being dead, or somebody being after you and killing those things that are important to you. So I'm just breathing that for a moment, and the courage that it takes just to come on here and talk about that. I really hear you like getting some air into your lungs and really breathing for a moment.
thank you.
Yeah, so I just want to say, you know, that oxygen instead of that rapid of trying to get out and waking up in the panic place, and then reminding your body and looking out amongst all the people here who are with you and holding that space as you show up vulnerably.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to add one more piece, and that's what a great protector you are. That I see in you is this protectiveness. So holding that on behalf of humans and on behalf of your animals.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and by the way, I'm appreciating that people are both keeping it, you know, like I had, as love coach Scott, I should have said, like, try and keep it to a minute each, and both you and Adrian have done that, so thank you. Deborah Haviland.
Oh, good morning, Scott. I just want to say I really hear you. I just am hearing each of your words and what you're expressing, this that you've been giving so much. I mean, really giving. And also, I heard you in another share say you've been volunteering, really. I mean, you've been really giving so much to people, even people who can't pay for your service. And because of your big heart and your real compassion, you're giving. So I hear you that it affected your sleep last night, you know, and that you actually had nightmares, which is scary, because in the middle of that nightmare, it seems so real. So you were fearing for your own life and for the safety of your dogs, which are like your deep, loving, warm, fuzzy, comforting relationships with those sweet adorable dog. So just my heart goes out to you that you've been giving so much. It's affecting your sleep.
Mm.
And I just pray that you get your needs met today for comfort.
Thank you. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and I feel rich and I feel full. And although I'd love to hear from Anaprabha and Daniel and the others who have offered, I do want to give everybody a chance. So my love coach, Scott, leader of this, is going to supersede my desire to take in more. Okay. But thank you. Thank you. Who would like to go next? Who would like to receive? And in this case, receiving is good. Anaprabha, wonderful.
Hi, everyone. I had a dream the other day, actually, following the dream sequence. And I shared it, and I was still feeling really vulnerable in that share, like really exposed. And I kind of felt like Adrian gave me really beautiful empathy, but kind of the whole session, I got really disjointed, and I got kind of really felt exposed and shamed, not with Adrian, that was good, but, and so it left me with this kind of like, it's interesting. The dream was like where I wasn't really being seen or heard, even though I was sort of being in this, having this operation without anesthetic, and I couldn't get anyone's attention to tell them I was in a lot of pain. And so I was just scared, vulnerable. There's this darkness, just like I wasn't heard. No matter if I was crying, I was screaming, and just not heard and not seen. And I felt like there was no way out. It was never going to change. And really sad, and mainly terror. I think just this huge terror.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting as you were talking, the word that came to my mind was terrified and alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, alone, very alone.
Yeah,
all alone. Mm-hmm.
And the greatest terror is always connected to being alone.
Mm-hmm.
So just want to ask everybody just to take a moment and remember, either imagining Anaprabha's experience or remembering a time in your life where you were terrified and you felt alone. Nobody was there to help you, to support you, to take care of you. You were all alone in a really terrifying situation. And how that feels in our body, how it's just like the weight of that is crushing. Daniel, would you be willing to give Anaprabha some empathy?
Yes. Good morning, Anaprabha.
Hey, Danielle.
Well, I just woke up from some nightmares myself, and they were around being left behind and alone. So I'm really feeling those feelings right now, and I guess that I'm kind of weaving my story, my dream, with yours.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the most almost frightening or scary, for sure scary experiences, to think that I'm all alone and I've been left behind, and nobody cared to wait up for me or to see me or to bring me along, to acknowledge me, So I can imagine that that's probably similar to what you experienced. And it reminds me of, I imagine that that as a child you probably felt that way many times.
Yeah.
And it just probably got lodged deeply into your psyche, so you're extra sensitive to it. I can relate.
How does that feel, Anupama, what Daniel shared? And was there a particular moment that you felt especially understood or connected?
Yeah, the delicate weaving the story in a delicate way, and really tuning into the feeling of the left behind and how that must feel, and so on a just this, the energetic level, even sometimes the words don't matter as much as the energy that you're being held with. I'm being held with, for example, like Daniel's was just holding me so tenderly and supportive, and I can imagine that you felt like how I felt, like you felt like that. But the energy of him holding just his words felt very calming, and felt heard and felt seen. And in my dream, when I was in so much pain and screaming out, and everybody was just going on with their conversations and going on and with their world, and totally not, looking at me or caring. So Daniel really felt that and got that. And that's the aspect of being left behind. So, and I felt that. So that felt, and not being included. So I felt very supported and connected with Daniel. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Daniel, so much.
Yeah. Mariko, I'll call on you in a moment.
And just the shame also, I didn't feel this shame I've been carrying these last days from that exposure of, because when you're so it's like deep in my psyche, I have that sensitivity, kind of carrying that shame of even exposing myself. Like, why did I do that? And for example, so I felt the shame go away too with Daniel.
Beautiful. And the shame alleviated. Yeah.
Just a shout out to Adrian. Adrian, I felt that with you too. I want to include you in that when you shared. That way just out, right? But yes.
Well, I want to just recognize that kind of what happened during that call is a similar thing that happened in the dream, where it was such a short period, and then we went on, and so it's one of the things I think we should learn from these calls is short empathy, and then moving on to teaching, which we did in that situation. And you're like, ooh.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, I'm not ready to be left yet. This is so deep.
Right. Left behind. I was left behind. So Daniel really energetically, just like tuned in deeply with my heart and with my soul and with my pain. So thank you.
Just a quick teaching point, because we have some new people with us today. One of the forms of empathy, which is what Daniel did is what we call weaving my story with yours. And it's a tricky one to do because you don't want to make it now about me. Oh yeah, that was horrible. Let me tell you how bad I had it, right? You don't want to go like that. So you have to be careful, and that's why we call it weaving my story with yours. It's I can imagine what you experienced because I had a similar experience. It's kind of like the feeling of it. And always remember, it's all about being connected. You're going to see me throughout the day. I'm going to ask, when did you feel most connected? And maybe sometimes, is there a moment where you lost connection, right? The whole purpose of embodied empathy is for the other person to feel connected to us and for us to connect. It's all about connection. So weaving your story with the other is a beautiful way to connect, as long as the other one doesn't feel like you're making it now about you. And Daniel did a really nice job with that, but it's a tricky one to do. I'm going to have Timothy give Anuprabha empathy, and then Mariko, I did see you raise your hand. So Mariko will be after Timothy.
Good morning or afternoon. I'm not sure which it is for you.
Morning.
Could I ask you to close your eyes and come back to the dream? I know it might be a little frightening. And at that moment where you felt most alone, what did you need? Or who did you need?
I needed for them to pay attention to me, to look at me, to see that I was in pain, and to hear me, to be heard so that I could feel seen, I guess.
Can you imagine them, keep your eyes closed, can you imagine them seeing you and hearing you and the dream shifting to where you're getting your needs met?
Yeah.
What does that feel like?
I think I have some anger come up around all the times I haven't felt heard
Beautiful.
by them.
What does that anger want to express?
I think wanting to have been a kid, wanting to have been a child, just wanting to play, wanting to feel safe, just wanting to feel safe.
Yeah.
Wanting to feel safe to have my feelings. I wanted to be safe to have my anger.
Yeah, right now it's really safe, Anapana, to feel whatever you're feeling, to express your anger. All those times that little girl wanted to be able to say, stop, pay attention to me. I'm right here. You know, it's this moment is very safe for her to express herself. Is there anything she wants to say?
I feel kind of scared, actually, right now.
Yeah. Beautiful.
It's kind of scary and
Can you imagine I'm sitting right next to you? I just want you to know you're not alone right now. I think that's the universe just letting you know I'm sitting right next to you. It's dinging.
Mm-hmm. A lot of fear comes up, actually. This moment right now.
I really appreciate you just letting us know that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, there's this fear of reaching out, this fear of being vulnerable, just this fear of sharing pain, sharing darkness, pain, sorrow.
What is the fear about?
The
If
fear
you
of not being in control,
Mhm.
fear of not being loved, fear of not being met, not being too strong, not strong enough, you know.
Can you just let me sit here next to you and just know that from where I am sitting right next to you, all of these emotions, all these fears, these feelings are perfectly okay. And there's no judgment. I'm just completely with you and accepting that this is part of your reality at times. And I see you as strong for being so open and so vulnerable with all of us.
Hmm. Well, that feels good. I feel good receiving that. That feels calming, not in my nervous system that I've heard that from you. It feels connected.
I feel more connected to you now than I did
Because
before
I
on
think it
any
all
other call, due to your sharing and your openness and your vulnerability. And I understand personally a lot of what you're feeling from my own experiences. So I really do get what you're grappling with. Is there anything else you need in this moment, or are we at a close? Because I want to be sensitive to the time, and I don't also want to be sensitive to not leaving you feeling alone.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good. Thank you, Timothy. Yeah. Thank you.
Twinkle both Timothy and Anaprabha. Mariko is going to give you empathy in a moment, but I just want to ask you, Anaprabha, how was that for you? Anything else that, I mean, you shared a lot about your process as it was happening, but anything else that you're noticing you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, you know, because just to know to understand, like, my nervous system is always on high alert. Child and alcoholic, it's just always on high alert, danger, danger, danger. Really easier for me to be alone than with people somewhere, you know, somehow, except for children, my children. I'm kind of always feeling in danger. So just, and then this is a learning process, right, Scott? So I'm just going to give feedback here.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, that's good. You're also freezing
right.
a little bit.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry about that. So somewhere there was an energetic way where I was felt, I could calm down more with Daniel than I could with Timothy energetically. Just, you know, I mean, even though I loved, and it was it, and I kind of, but and I loved also how we were working, Timothy. Just, and it was good bringing out all these feelings. And I felt when you kind of felt like you really got me, like you really understood me, like you could really, when I felt that you could really feel that, because otherwise still I kind of felt some shame and exposure. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I really appreciated sharing all these emotions. and I really felt you and felt calmed down when you really go, I get you, I feel you, there's this part just, we're all with you somewhere. That helped. Right.
A question, and I really appreciated, Timothy, you kind of taking the risk to
Yeah.
go where you went, and I liked it. I'm wondering if his asking you to close your eyes put you into more of a fear state. Like, I understand his wanting you to do that so you could go back and remember it. But as somebody who's hypervigilant, was closing your eyes, did that accentuate the fear?
It's interesting because I normally will close my eyes anyway. Like, I was easy to close my eyes with Danielle. I just can drop in. But somewhere I think because I felt like Daniel also closes his eyes in an energetic level. And I think with Timothy, if he would have closed, it's like, let's all close our eyes together, because just as my hypervigilant thing is like and I trust and I feel held here and love every one of you. And I feel I can, and I know Scott is holding this, so I feel a safe container. So I felt safe. It's just on a really deep level we're sharing here, Timothy. I loved you.
No,
I'm
that's
just deeply sharing.
beautiful minutia.
And
Beautiful.
I think if you would have closed your eyes.
Yeah, or even asking all of us to close our eyes and to be in the dream with you would have really, I get that, would have really
that
helped.
made me feel, calm me so down, like we're all closing our eyes together and you're all with me.
Right.
And then I could like just really drop deep in there, and you're closing your eyes. Because then I opened my eyes once and you said, close your eyes. And it's like that sort of, I got scared. It's sort of like kind of a command. You got
Yeah.
General Timothy telling you to close your eyes. Yeah.
Right, General Tim. And I know your story, and I know you're not like that, Timothy. I was like telling myself, he's okay, he's safe, but still energetically, deeply, I was high alerted. I couldn't quite go there because of my alertness. I was high alert.
No, and it's with what you shared earlier about feeling kind of on the spot and exposed, having everyone close their eyes, me included, and all of us joining you, it would have been a powerful force around you, which I got to later. I was like, oh, maybe she'll let me sit next to her. I did notice when I said close your eyes forcefully, I felt your whole body, and I went, oh shit,
I know. I kind of felt like, should I say this now? I was feeling like I kind of wanted to stop, but then I just went with the I just went with it, because it's all good medicine.
With me,
yeah.
All right, well, let's twinkle Anaprabha and Timothy. And Adrian has a question, and then Mariko is going to give Anaprabha some empathy. And by the way, we go, somebody asked how long. We go for about 2 hours usually, so we still have plenty of time. Adrian?
Yeah, Scott, I'm wondering if you might describe a little bit of what Timothy did in relation to empathy practice. It seemed to me, what I experienced was Timothy almost did a mini session of asking for Anaprabha to go deeper into her experience, and kind of there was an exploration that was happening, as opposed to just like a pure empathy kind of session. And then we have some newer people here, and I'm wondering if you might speak to that a little bit, some of the nuances of what he did around the kind of going deeper and excavating, as opposed to maybe just pure empathy.
Yeah, I mean,
not that he wasn't purely empathetic in the whole process, but it was more involved than kind of what you're asking us to do, maybe, or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, so no, it's a worthy question. So again, no right or wrong. On the one hand, Timothy didn't follow the instruction that I'd given, really. But on the other hand, I let it pass because I could feel his care.
It's beautiful.
That was my experience of it. It was like, oh, wow, okay, Timothy's going into a therapeutic process mode. There was never part of me that felt an impulse to stop him. I kind of was curious, okay, well, let's see where he's going to go and how this is going to turn out, right? And I'm grateful for it because it gave us a chance to look at, even though clearly he was in care and it was an overall good experience, we learned a couple of important fine points. You know, request, how would you feel about closing your eyes? Is that something you'd, imagine I'd like to take you back. How, is that something they'd like to do on the Prabha? Would you like for us all to close eyes with you? You know, so maybe more requesting and less general Timothy, which is a wonderful example for us all to see, because in a sense, no doubt he was wanting to show care in the way that he knows how, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful. But sometimes in our desire to show care, we still might go to what we know how to do, which might be perfect in the moment, but we still want to check in with the other person to make sure that that's an experience they'd like to have. Yeah.
Yeah, as you're talking, I feel that theme again of slowing down that Adrian and I were talking about at the beginning.
And, you know, it's important for
You know,
all of
also
us.
just how, oh, sorry, also,
For all of us to know what our go-to is, right? Like Debbie Garcia's go-to is gratitude. You know, she like will almost always go straight to gratitude. Scott's go-to is usually empathy, right? So we all have kind of our go-tos, right? And just recognizing, is my go-to what this person wants right now? Is this go-to me being me perfect? Or, you know, just, again, no right or wrong, just heightened awareness of that, right? All right, I do want to give Mariko an opportunity to give empathy, and then we'll move on to our next person. Hi, Mariko. Thank you for your patience. Welcome. This is Mariko's first time giving empathy. You are unmuted, so hello, Mariko.
Hi, I wanted to speak to Anaprabha. Anaprabha, do you want to go back there with me for a second? I want to invite you to open your eyes and connect with me and breathe with me. So let's take a few breaths together. Inhale. And I want to invite you to look into my eyes. My little girl wants to play with you. Exhale. And inhale. The little girl in me is loving you. And exhale and feel my love. And inhale. And that same little girl is with you and understanding how alone you feel, and has been in that same exact hospital bed screaming in pain. And I just want to breathe deeply into that pain and feel the breath actually relieve that sense of pain that we feel with every breath. We can feel just a little molecule less of fear with each breath. And breathe in deeply through your whole body and feel that pain relief that our breath, this breath of the divine, this breath of something else that's beyond the physical gives us. And exhale down through your toes. So I want to invite you to connect with my eyes when you're ready, and keep breathing. And I want to meet you as the goddess now and see the goddess in you that still stores that little girl that is not heard and is in a lot of pain. But I know that you have both. This very awakened, beautiful goddess that is right before me. And I want to look at you from my goddess and meet you here and breathe with you here. And know that that lost little girl is in both of us, but it's stored in this very wise, amazing, beautiful, healing, awakening in progress priestess, goddess, divine feminine, and just breathe into that body. And exhale out into that body. And you aren't that little girl. With every breath, you become yourself in your present body. And just feel that presence and how far we've come from that little girl place that we were when we're screaming and not heard. So come into this goddess body, into this present body, and exhale that. But the little girl in me is still sending you love, still loving you. Total love and total compassion for everything that you felt, everything that you are. Sending you love and sending you compassion and being there with you. So breathe in again as this goddess and know that there's not just me as this little girl, but many other people who have felt that way with you in that pain, and you actually are not alone, and you're not crazy, and you have every right to feel your pain. So breathe that in. And exhale that out, release it. If it's still painful for you, then release it out as loud as you need to until it's fully exiled from your body. If you have anger, here's the time to like release it. If you want to burst into the tears that you never got to cry as a child, that's also welcome. My goddess, my little girl, my pain, my compassion, everything is all here to support and hold space for that. So you can scream, you can cry. Or if you feel complete, you can just say, I'm complete. All of that is also fine. How are you feeling now? Do you feel complete? And if you're not, I'll sit here and wait with you as long as you need to. Still sending you love.
No, thank you, Marika. That felt good.
Thanks.
I feel complete.
This is Twinkle Mariko and Anaprabha.
I really wanted to do that because I feel confident with that story. Like I can connect with her really easily because that's me. So,
yeah, so I want to, in a moment, I want to hear Anaprabha's experience. And again, similar to Timothy, obviously, Mariko, what you did was not the practice that we were doing, but it was an opportunity for you to share your gifts and for us to get a little taste of your wisdom, your medicine. So I'm really appreciating the introduction to Mariko medicine. So thank you for the courage to jump forth and completely break my rule, or not my rule, but my suggestion, and do your thing.
I actually don't know what pure empathy is. I'm new in the class, so please tell me what I did wrong.
It's all good. It's all good. And in the spirit of it, I'd love to have Anaprabha share what worked for you. When did you feel connected? And if there's anything that you would have liked more of or less of, or something different, kind of just what was your experience like? Because that was a lot. There was a very rich experience in 5 minutes or whatever it was.
Yeah, I know a little bit. Mariko and I have connected, and we've, so I know Mariko a bit, and we've shared, and so I felt safe with Mariko, and I felt like that's where she was coming from. Like she really wanted to really share her love and her, and her, experience, and with me. And I, because part of me was like, before she started, I'm like, I really just want some empathy. Do you know what I mean? I was just going simple. And just all in all,
We just lost Anaprabha. Not sure, that maybe her computer froze or something like that. So while we're waiting for Anaprabha to come back.
Can you hear me?
We lost you. We lost you about a minute ago.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. Sorry. Yes. Anyway, so before you leave, I just want to say, Mariko, I thought that was fantastic. I loved it. I loved how she took me from that little girl and was with me in it, because I know her story too. Like, so I get her. I know she gets it, and I felt gotten, and I loved where she took me to the empowered goddess, priestess, and her, because she sees that in me as well and embodies. And I felt really, I really loved how she really worked, and I thought it was beautiful, and really appreciate it, Mariko. Thank you.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I
Wonderful.
love the transition, that like, okay, yeah, you're there, you are that, and I'm with you in that, and you are also, let's take you up to where you are, this goddess and priestess and healer, because you are that, and not taking away from that scared child, and I'm with you in that if you want to be there. And then just there was a lot of allowing, and there was a lot of connectedness, and I also know her from, I get
Yeah.
her. I know she knows. It's not like a first time. I know where she's coming from, right? Also, so it's not
Beautiful.
right. So that also, I have background with her. So,
That's really helpful. So good.
that's helpful. Yeah.
All right. I have a question for the group. Because obviously, as always, things have gone in its own unique direction. So we're at a choice. We've got about 40 minutes left. We can stay together as a group, in which case we're only going to have time to watch a couple people receive empathy. Or I can put you into breakout rooms with I probably would do 4 breakout rooms, I'm guessing, which would be 2 or 3 people for, let's see how many we have. Yeah, I would probably do 4 breakout rooms, 3 people per breakout room. Which would give time for everybody to give and receive, everybody to practice receiving and everybody to practice giving. I kind of am leaning towards that, but I'm very much a benevolent dictator, and I like to hear what my people want and give it to them. So you get to vote once, okay? And if you're on the fence, then you don't vote either way. Who would prefer to stay together in the large group? Who would like to stay in the large group? So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hands. Okay. Who would like to go into smaller breakout groups? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd really hoped it was like 10 to nothing or something. So it's pretty evenly split. The people who wanted to go in breakout rooms, raise your hands again if you want to be in a breakout room. Okay, I'm going to put all 4 of you into a breakout room. Okay, so you guys can go into a breakout room and work while I do that. So hang on a second. It was Anaprabha. Was it Timothy?
Yeah.
Who were the other 2 people? Jessica. And who was the 4th person? Mariah?
Mariah.
Okay, great. Okay. All right. I am putting you into breakout rooms, a breakout room. So the rest of you don't click join room, but for the 4 of you, click join room. And Adrian?
I was just saying goodbye to the people who are leaving, and I might leave shortly. Being my birthday, I have some things up, but we'll see. I'm not totally sure what's going on with Carrie. I was just waving goodbye to the other people because I might not see them again.
Okay, thank you. All right, good. All right, and I definitely want to welcome Jay, who's sitting in on our class and watching, observing. Hello, Jay. Welcome. I think Deborah invited you. Laura L. LaCheca, you would send me a message saying you'd like to receive empathy next. If that's still accurate, I need you to turn on your camera. Yes. Hi, Laura.
Actually, I'm a little worried about time. maybe it's better someone else goes?
We're fine on time, Laura. We're fine,
Oh
but
no,
thank
but
you.
my time
Oh,
also.
your time.
Yeah, I mean, unless we can keep my session to 5 minutes or 10 minutes, is that possible?
We could certainly keep it to 10.
Okay,
Can you
we
do
can
that?
do that.
Okay, great.
Sure. So yesterday I actually had some, I've been working on intuition, and I was with my teacher and we did this exercise and I was really open, and then I got this feeling that I was not going to get this fellowship, finishing fellowship for my dissertation, which I was hoping on and planning on, which would give me 1 more year to finish. Yesterday I received the news that I didn't get it. So at first I didn't really know how to feel. And then I spoke to my, our administrator, and she explained to me, you know, you'd really usually hope that you could have like a teaching assistantship so that you could still have 1 more year, but that may not be possible. So it's very hard for me because I have a disability, and I've really struggled to move into my apartment. I feel like I'm not even fully moved in still, and it's been a really long time. And sorry, that's my thumb. I don't know that I can move and finish it in a short amount of time, but then there would be suddenly no more income coming in. So yeah, that's what I'm dealing with.
So thank you, Laura, for being willing to share with us, and especially because you're new. So Daniel, I saw you raise your hand.
Hi, Laura. Thanks for sharing. What stood out for me is when you got the news that you weren't going to get your extension or whatever you called it, that you said you didn't know how to feel. And I'm wondering if you actually didn't know what to think, and maybe you actually did have some feelings that you weren't aware of or could explore right now. Like, do you know, what was the feeling when it first came up? There was probably a feeling that happened.
Yeah, I think it was like, I've been worried all week about it. And so I was texting my teacher, and there was like this weirdness between like knowing that something was coming and then not being sure. So I was basically asking her for confirmation. And it was like, usually I can cry pretty prolifically, but when I got it, it was like, I felt like I was gonna cry, but I didn't cry, you know? It was just like this stifling.
You were holding it together, and
it's weird because I was alone in my room, and I don't know how or why I would be holding it together. It was like a perfect place to be sad, but
were you feeling disappointed?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And you had been feeling worried, and you had probably some anxiety coming up to this moment, and
yeah,
a lot was riding on this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I don't think I'm very good at identifying my emotions.
It's okay. It's okay. We're all learning how to do that. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Daniel.
Just feeling, thank you. Let's twinkle. Laura, I'm imagining, and this is just my own imagining. Are you feeling overwhelmed and kind of in the almost in that frozen place of overwhelm. And my imagining is frozen, not even able to feel, not able to know what direction to go into, but just that sense of overwhelming, and then the freeze. That's what I'm imagining. I'm just wondering if I'm imagining accurately.
That sounds also pretty accurate.
Yeah. And so there's a feeling of paralysis, right? Like paralyzed almost. As I'm imagining you, if I'm imagining if I were you in the situation, that's what I feel in my body, is a sense of paralysis. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Yeah. It's a really hard place to be. It's really uncomfortable. And again, I'm really appreciating your vulnerability and sharing it with us, and noticing the part of me that wants to say something to make it better. It's totally there. Like, it's like, say this, say that. There's like all these parts of me that want to make it better. Right? But I'm having to struggle to just stay in my own perception of the paralysis, the overwhelm. Yeah.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. I'm wondering if one more person would like to offer some. Mimi, thank you. You're muted, Mimi.
Okay, thank you. Again, I just wanted to drop in with a breath with you for a moment, and especially in like this place of isolation and overwhelm. Scott, could you highlight Laura for me, please? Thank you. So just being here with you for a few moments and breathing with you, I think, you know, all of that like feeling it all the way down into my lower body with you. So I just wanted permission to be here with you for that moment. And I'd really like to just, that there's nothing that has to be figured out. And the presence and the beauty and the courage of your tears. And how connected you really are. And really, really how beautiful and tender that is. So I'm just watching you breathe. And I'm kind of recognizing, like I'm seeing that your jaw is I'm imagining that your jaw is pretty tight. So I would just really welcome a yawn. Even a messy yawn where like it's not covered, it's just oxygen in there. Yeah. And I really wanted to let you know that by dropping in here that you're not alone.
I feel that. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. So Laura, anything you want to share about how, like when you felt maybe most connected with what took place with Mimi or myself or Danielle? Like when was some of the moments when you felt most felt or connected?
I think when Daniel and Scott, when both of you spoke to or gave my experience sort of language, I find it's sometimes very hard for me to put things into words, and that was very healing, and just to be able to, you know, bring it into something that I can think through in language, rather than like a confusing mess of experience. And then just like from all three of you, like the power of your breath, and like the calmness. So we would speak, and then each of you sort of got into this slower breathing, and that I found, then I felt very calm, and like, it's just amazing the power of, you know, like feeling heard, and that somebody truly heard how you felt, and then, yeah, calmly sits with you for a minute. It's just, yeah, it's very transformational without being prescriptive or, yeah. So I think you all did quite a remarkable job, and I feel much less alone. And like when I need to recenter into this, I can remember those breaths. I think it's amazing how that part, like that nonverbal part, is so powerful.
Beautiful. Thank you, Laura. Thank you. Welcome to our community. And please remember to come and join us for some of our compassionate talks every morning, 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Pacific time. And yeah, come play with us. Come be with us. Come give and receive more love. Okay.
Yeah, I will do that. Thank you for being with me. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to shift our attention onto Patsy. Patsy's the next person who's going to receive some empathy. And Patsy, what's alive for you?
I can see the value of meeting all you here today, particularly as we kind of close this a little bit. Because now I feel I'm kind of going through this isolation bit on my own with my dogs, although I do have one friend that comes over that's taking really good care of himself. And so I feel that he can help me with my garden and some of the things I can't do. But all these, and I don't want to seem to minimize, but I'm just going to go ahead and spill it out, which is our singular problems don't seem in my consciousness to be singular anymore. I'm feeling two things. One is that how to be all these parts of all of you that have shared today to myself, and conversely to realize that any unresolved issue from my past, which I've shared with you in such a safe zone, and I think kind of cathartically resolved in some way, of past nightmares or day nightmares, whatever, are all kind of secondary. There's this calling right now. And it's both for me to be these things to myself, which is the comfort and listening and calming breathing and connecting with a friend. And also that my problems or anything that behaviors that are a function of my past are no longer in play. What's really in play right here, right now, it seems to me, is this collective unconscious, which I think we all have felt and talked about, kind of a veil of judgment over old shit, veils of shame around old stuff that I'm feeling called to drop. I'm not feeling called to resolve. I'm not feeling called to identify. There's like and I'm gonna just ask for anyone to maybe articulate where I'm losing words to, but there's a new calling, and it's not about me anymore. And so to be in a group like this is really allowing me to step onto this group as if it's one stepstone onto that next stepstone. What is it for all of us that really is beyond our singular natures? We're not going to be concerned about money so much anymore, because no one's going to have to pay anything for a while. And if they do, they're going to get some kind of something that's going to be some kind of plan. That's not where our power is now, it seems to me. I don't know what it is. I would really welcome anybody's jewels on this.
So I just want to clarify that what I'm hearing is certainly empathy, but also I'm hearing a calling for who else can relate to this and who else can put words or your perception of what I'm sharing. Is that accurate? Yeah.
Or has any insight into something that I just can't see or something.
Okay. So I'm just going to say a sentence of what I'm hearing, and then Deborah Haviland is next. What stood out for me is I'm hearing you say that as the issues in your life or issues come up, letting it go as opposed to trying to resolve. Right? That instead of going back and forth into trying to fix it or resolve something, instead just letting go of attachment to it, altogether is what stood out for me.
Maybe dropping into the pain, that next step further, that's asking for what is really calling here. I don't really need to do any more work about any old past stuff. And I think collectively we can do that. Question mark, exclamation point.
Hi, Patty. Hi. I really appreciate what you're saying. And just being with you also. It's so nice to see you in your cozy, comfy clothes. I don't know if those are pajamas, but you sure look adorable.
Thank you.
I mean, it's what I'm hearing. I heard what Scott said, so I'm not going to say that one because he already covered that. So I'm going to address the other thing you were mentioning, which is that somehow, because we're all in this together, like with this coronavirus thing, and being on essential retreat, I'm hearing you saying, and let me know if I'm correct or if you want to add anything. It sounds like you're saying that at times before, maybe you felt alone with your pain or isolated, but now it sounds like you're feeling like, wow, we're all in this. We are all really in this together. And so maybe you're feeling a little more like there's a common ground that we're sharing. Yeah, and I can really relate to that. I can really relate to that. And that and so being at home and being alone is making even more sense. Like, or that you're feeling it, you're relaxing into it, and you're letting go of having to solve something, but just dropping in, you said, dropping in.
I think that I'm feeling a lot of, yes, thank you. I think I'm also feeling a lot of fear, like collectively I'm putting my finger on a pulse of something that I feel that we all are doing now, even if we don't know it or something.
Okay, so collectively putting our finger on the pulse, collectively, even if we don't know it. So yeah, and I want to just, I'm just accepting you and loving you right where you are, feeling connected, woman to woman, people to people, human to human. And that you also have your friend who you feel is healthy and safe, can come over and work in your garden. And, I don't want to fix anything, but in my own space, I'm feeling that too. Like I've sometimes just gotten out there and I wanted to be connected or busy, or FOMO, the fear of missing something. And I've been really feeling like I can just relax into being alone at home and actually enjoying it, feeling this soft, warm feeling like pajamas of just, it's good to be at home and with the garden or walking in nature. And that I read something that I posted on my Facebook page, which is that we're all just facing whatever we're facing, our stuff. And as we walk through it and do our inner work and our meditation or our whatever, that we're coming into our own, more like our own inner bliss, which is available inside it. There is a place where we can get to our own inner peace. Are you feeling some of that?
Yeah, but I think that the thing I'm bringing also is that I'm feeling like the other shoe's going to drop.
Okay.
And so I think that's the anxiety.
The anxiety. And okay, so you're feeling anxiety.
I mean, the other shoe is going to drop. There is no question about it. You see New York going through what it's going through today?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The fucking shoe's going to drop. And we're going to hopefully have gotten in, stayed alone long enough already and soon enough. So I guess I kind of tie into Annapurna. When we all find out collectively that the other shoe is dropped, we're going to be just as alone as she is with her shame of what happened to her as a little girl. You want to hold on to that little girl shit? And I don't mean to seem cold, and it's going to come off a little hard. I'm glad she's not here. But that shit's over. And I'm really saying that to myself. If it seems a little harsh, I'm really just saying that to myself. Any kind of way I'm trying to win anything by being anything is over.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time to suit up. And I don't know what that looks like. And nobody knows what that looks like. But I'm glad to be in this group of people that are being so real about what's real. This is a crazy ass time. So I just love you all for being here and listening. Thank you.
I love you too. I love you. I love you for being yourself and saying whatever you need to say, and that we're in a safe space. And I know for me, breathing, really slowing down and breathing is really helping. It looks like some other people want to share. Is that what you wanted to say, Scott?
Yeah, I want to twinkle Deborah, Mujiba, and Patsy. And Mimi's going to share next for you, Patsy. I noticed I got a little bit charged, Patsy. I'm totally relating to what you're saying, by the way. Totally relating to the horror of what's happening in New York. Somebody sent me an article for The Atlantic. It's an article by a doctor in New York, and everyone should read this article. It's really scary what's happening in New York. We have to recognize that New York, hopefully we're not going to experience what's going on in New York right now. And the whole thing about, like, there's no time for the little girl is where I did get a little triggered. Not that you said anything wrong. I'm glad you said it, actually. It brings up an interesting dynamic. Because this comes up all the time when people say, Scott, you're too soft on people. People need to man up. People need to suit up. People need to get their shit together, So the question of when is empathy enabling the disempowered self? When is giving empathy enabling the victim, right? Someone to play victim. And that's a very real thing that I've seen many times, and I've even participated in. So I respect that question. And it is a worthy question. Okay, when am I enabling this person to stay disempowered or play?
Or myself, really.
Or myself to continue the victim story. And obviously, it's a case-by-case situation. It's a razor's edge. I think it's helpful to know what one's go-to is. Am I in my go-to, right? But I really remember and appreciate Gay and Catherine Hendricks. They wrote the book Conscious Loving. And they talk about how they made an agreement early in their marriage. Only one person gets to go crazy at a time, and the other person's in charge. And it's funny, and it's really smart. Because we all are going to go crazy at times, especially with what's happening in the world right now. And I think that it's okay, especially in community, that if someone's little girl is out needing comfort, then that's where it's up to us to stand up and take care of that little girl as best as we can. And to pay attention. Okay, what wants to happen here? And to recognize, am I stuffing my scared self and I need empathy right now and I'm stuffing it? Or am I stuck in a victim pattern and I need to get shaken out of it? And I need to now go into contributing to the well-being of others. Because that's the quickest way out of victim, is to contribute to the well-being of others. And both things are, we need to play both roles. One person gets to go crazy, the other one's in charge. Now the one who's in charge gets to go crazy, and the crazy one is no longer crazy, they're in charge. And I think that back and forth is what is probably our best approach to be in tune with. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Can we do that in ourselves then too? Like give yourself time to do one and then time to do the other?
I love doing it together. I love having my most empowered self, my most exalted self, which I call Hall of Fame Scott. In an alternate reality, he's the world's greatest shortstop and one of the world's greatest baseball players. And he plays catch in my own imagination with little rat Fink Scott, which is my scared little boy. And they play catch and then they chat back and forth. And so that's how I do it within myself.
I see.
Well, that's just me. But I think allowing the most empowered self, the wise woman, the wise crone, the wise elder part of us, to comfort our own inner child is the ultimate healing, because it takes us out of looking to the outside world, looking to our lover, our partner, our mother, our father to make it okay. And we're learning to do it ourselves. Adrian, and then Mimi.
I'll be quick. Patricia, Patsy, one thing that I'm really hearing from you is this inspiration. You're feeling motivated to, maybe let go of the little things and to expand your perspective and to understand what's really important. I'm feeling this inspiration, this drive to get right with yourself and get clear where your priorities are and get clear on how you want to connect with and be of service. I feel a lot of inspiration coming from you and your words. So I just wanted to contact that.
Yeah, I want to say, Patsy, I am so glad that we're doing this with you, because of course, how could we not talk about the coronavirus and what's going on in the world and how it's impacting us on the micro level and on the macro level. So I love that you brought this up. And I love that you brought up, what you said about the little girl, because again, it's a really important dialogue to be having. Mimi, thank you for your patience.
Yes. Oh, Patty, yes. Okay, I'll wrap it up really quickly here. Patty, I have my family was that family growing up that the other shoe's gonna drop, so military and mafia, that was my family. And I'm not kidding, that was my family. And so what if, I just want to like into that breath of what if this group is the other shoe dropping?
Wow. Wow.
What if this is us with our feet on the ground, getting grounded, daily dosing with this? And
And
that,
what if it doesn't look like the tip of a sword? It actually looks like a loving group of people.
right.
That's wild.
Yeah. And that's what we've all been, you know, that's what all of us preppers have been doing for all of these years, is we came from those families and we're creating this from that fear that we're creating this. So I would really just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I love you. Thank you for asking.
Oh, goodness.
Patsy, what do those tears have to say? What do those beautiful, beautiful tears have to say?
That I have been suiting up and I really need to strip down.
Or that this is your suit.
I'm safe to do this.
Yeah.
This is your new suit. This is your suit of armor. It's awesome.
I think the tears are for how much I have been trying to suit up. And I don't have to. That's not what's calling me. It is safe. And I think I'm just kind of in shock right now.
Yeah.
Wow, Mimi, that's deep. Thank you.
I'm going to jump into the breakout room to see how those guys are doing, if we can bring them back. Who would like to, we'll go a little bit longer today. It's a special day. Who would like to, is there somebody who'd like to receive empathy next?
Scott, can I get back to the breakout room? I had to leave for a second.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No problem. I'm going to actually go check out. Actually, you can be our person asking the breakout room if they could wrap up and come join us so we can come back into group. That would be really cool.
Okay, so join and then just tell them that when there's a break?
Yeah, if they could try and wrap up so we can all come back together as a group, that would be really nice.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay. And yeah, if people want to, I mean, we're going to wrap up pretty soon. So, you know, if somebody I see, we can certainly take a break, or we can, you know, if you need to go to the bathroom and somebody else wants to share. Is somebody wanting to receive empathy? Is anybody who's... Deborah.
To receive empathy.
Okay, cool. Well, Patsy, Allie, and I will take good care of you. Do you want to wait a couple minutes until Mimi and Daniel come back?
Yes.
Or
Yeah, I'll
okay.
wait. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd like to go take a quick bathroom break too.
All right. Then we'll take a bathroom break. I'll
Mariko,
take a
I'd
bathroom
love
break.
to hear why that scared you. Mariko?
Hello?
Hi, I'd love to hear why that scared you.
Oh, because you said your little girl, there's no time for your little girl. And I really embody my little girl. So that little girl was like, oh, okay. I'm not
I
welcome.
think no, I didn't mean that.
It's not my party, no, it was just like on guard. So the little girl in me also turns into, a rebellious warrior too. But I was on guard because you were attacking
Can
her.
I see you? Can I see you?
I don't have my shirt on. Is that okay?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay. Is that okay with everybody else?
Yeah, nobody cares. Just tell me.
Patsy,
What?
please don't answer for everybody.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean,
I thought everyone was gone.
Yeah, no, we've got a few people here. So.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Let's change the topic.
Well, no, we don't have to change the topic. It's actually, again, we're all learning together. We're all learning together. So I really appreciate.
Let you know that my MO is shirtless in Hawaii.
Right.
You are always what?
That her
so just initially the feeling, let's just go back to that now that we're all on the same page. You said your little girl is not welcome here, or something like that. And so then my little girl was like on defense. Not scared, but just like, okay, she's gonna be like that kind of thing.
I see. Okay, we don't need to spend any more time on it.
I couldn't be as empathetic to you, because a core part of who I am was on guard and defending that statement. But I'm still listening, but I'm just aware of that. You know what I mean? So that's why it just surprised me when you had a breakthrough, or you had a breakdown, or whatever you want to call it. But I was just like, whoa, I didn't predict that, because my little girl already conceded to your, statement earlier. I was gonna fall in line, I wasn't gonna fight you on it. I was like, okay, all right, I'll shut up then.
So
little
this
girl's
is
not welcome. Okay, I'll shut up.
This is, and welcome back, our friends. Thank you for coming back. So this is actually a really beautiful moment. There is no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. And it was powerful what Patsy said for herself. Totally, perfectly human that Mariko, who has a strong little girl, put up a defense. Perfectly human that Mariko was then surprised to see Patsy then be so vulnerable, and Patsy's vulnerability come through. And what a beautiful example of how when somebody says something that triggers us, we put up a wall, we put up a defense, we all do it. And then when that same person we put a wall up or a defense to shows vulnerability, it surprises us. It surprises us because maybe we had a story we had made about that person, because when we put up a wall, we usually make a story up about that other person, right? And we're not seeing their full range of experience. We're just usually focusing on the part of them that scared us or triggered us, right? So I think that I'm really appreciating the beauty of that exchange and what we were able to learn from it. Yeah. So thank you, Patsy. Thank you, Mariko.
But I love also how you said, this is me, I'm talking to me. So then I was able to be in my intelligent brain and be like, oh, that's good. I love that you said that. I'm speaking to me, my little girl. You're actually speaking to, you're acknowledging, you're not projecting out, but you're actually speaking to yourself. Yeah. So I love that piece. Thank you for doing that.
welcome back, our breakout room friends. Here's what I'm kind of thinking. I'd love for us to conclude the official part of the class, but if anybody wants to stay, I know Deborah was about to receive empathy. If anybody wants to stay, then we will. I'll turn off the recording, and we can still offer empathy and practice with each other. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. And so whatever was going on in the breakout room, if there's something that needs to continue, I can send you back to the breakout room, or we can all sit together as a group and share. But I just wanted to kind of bring us back together and have kind of an official conclusion. Yeah. So here, Patsy did a wonderful job of expressing her relationship to what's going on in the world, both on a macro level and on her own personal level, and it led to beautiful empathy and a dynamic conversations, plural. And would anybody, I guess maybe Anna Prabhu, do you want to share kind of just a little recap of what took place for your breakout group?
Yeah. I think everybody needs to mute their mic though, because we're hearing some feedback. Yeah, it was a really beautiful, deep group. I mean, we didn't have time for everyone to go a little bit because there was, but there was a deep sharing and really a focus on, the feelings. We focus on the feelings and how important it is when we're able to be vulnerable, for each other, just what a safe container we can create, and how much that creates a safety to expose more and more. And so the safer the container, I think the more able we are to share and expose ourselves. And there's also an aspect of having enough time to do that as well. When there was a quality where for one person, there just wasn't enough time left to go there, so hopefully in our break next, after we stop the recording, we'll have time, because we do need enough time to go into that exposure for people to share, and then for that person to feel held and understood and seen and heard and connected with. So
beautiful.
Vulnerability is key.
All right, so I'm going to officially stop the recording and close the meeting.